This is K5WXR. You're waiting for the digitally speaking net. Please stand by another minute or so.
Hamnet, Hamnet.
Well, thank you very much, David. Thank you. That's 5 Uniform Bravo Bravo. And if I understood that correctly, your YouTube channel is your call sign, Kilo 5 or KG5 Uniform Bravo Bravo, and you can search by your call sign YouTube channel for this broadcast. Is that what you said? Well, in any case, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lee. I am K5WXR. Welcome to Digitally Speaking. This is our weekly Sunday afternoon net where we talk about all things digital, or maybe all things radio, or sometimes just all things. We kind of especially want to greet or say hello to any of those folks up there at the Dayton County Center who recently for their test, their ham license, and also we'll be taking tests here in a little while. If not sure if any of you happen to have a radio on, but if you do, good luck and welcome to the hobby. I'm sure you all will do just fine. And also, while we're talking about thank yous, I want to especially thank the DCARA group, the Denton County Amateur Radio. But after all, this is their repeater we're speaking upon, and they do a wonderful job of keeping it all working. We have an extensive network of voters or remote receivers around the county so that even low power stations should be able to get in and participate on this net. It transmits from, I believe it's the highest point in Denton County, so you probably get a pretty good reception no matter where you are. I know we have members of this net that join us from all the adjacent counties around the contiguous net. So welcome to all of you, and if you happen to be even further away, especially welcome for that as well. Well, I may be winging this net solo today. Our regular net logger is Scott, KG5RJR, and he is up there working on a bunch of stuff today. So he won't be logging in net logger. And our alternate net logger, my friend Tim, WZ5TM, WZ5TM. Last I was aware, like last night, Tim wasn't feeling too well, and I don't want to even, Tim, if you're listening today, please don't stress yourself at all, and trying to do this. So I guess what I am asking is if anyone would like to run NetLogger in the background for this net, or we'll just try it solo, and I'll just wing it. And to make it easier on myself, okay, however you want to say this, we've got maybe 5 people checked in already. Let me quickly go through that list. K5WXR, that would be me, of course. K25KA Victor, that's Rob over in Argyle. He's preparing a radio or testing a radio for in anticipation of his son passing the test in a little while. I hope it's not any big secret for me to divulge that, but after all, he said it on the radio. It can't be too big of a secret. We have a Whiskey Echo 5 Tango Romeo joining us today that was testing his radio a little bit before the net and said he'd be around for the net, so I hope it's okay. I went ahead and checked you in already. And KG5 Uniform Bravo Bravo, of course, that's David, who is streaming this to YouTube today. So with that, I think the way that I'm going to try to work this, seeing as how I have to, not have to, it's fun, I guess. It's not like it's a bad thing, but when you say you have to do something, it sounds almost like work or something. But I'm going to try to, keep a log of the folks on the net, as well as, try to keep the conversation rolling. And those of you that know me know that I'm not real good at multitasking. I'm kind of a one thing at a time type guy. So what I think we'll do is just take like a couple of check-ins. We'll greet the folks that we have. As always, we'd like to hear what you have to say and what's on your mind and what kinds of subjects you'd like to talk about. And that's kind of how we form our agenda. None of this is scripted. None of it is rehearsed. None of it is written down, by the way. It's all off the top of our heads as we go. So anyway, we'll do that. We'll do kind of a check-in as we go today. Instead of getting them all at once, we'll talk to a couple of folks, and then we'll ask for a couple more, and then we'll talk to them, and we'll ask for a couple more, and kind of spread it out as we go. I hope that this works out okay. I think before we do that, I'm going to ask if there's one of you who is really into weather. Maybe you have some weather radar available to you, or you have your ear to the ground, so to speak, or your eye to the sky. The last I checked, which was a while back, a few hours ago, there was lightning and some activity down south of Dallas and something out to our west. But at least that's what I thought. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but one of the things that we're real concerned about, that I personally am very concerned about, is that the National Weather Service uses this frequency, especially for Denton County activity. This is the primary Skywarn and Aries emergency frequency and all that. So if there is any sort of activity anywhere around in the adjacent counties around us, weather-wise, the Weather Service is likely to be monitoring this frequency. And any chatter that we have, any noise that we have, like a net conversation, is just more noise that they have to sort through to find, weather information. They generally, their radio operators are listening to multiple radios at the same time. So we don't want them to just turn us off or anything like that. So we will stop the net early or at any sign of weather activity in any of the counties around us.
Hamnet.
I say this now just in case you you all have, or any of you, might be kicked back, relaxed, maybe have a hot or cold beverage handy, and you're expecting to be on the radio for the next couple hours. We could end at any time abruptly, should there be some sort of weather alerts or anything like that. So that's the name of that tune. Oh, okay. Let me go back to my question about, is there someone who is in tune to the weather that would like to come down to your call sign and give us an update of the current situation, not only in Denton County, but especially any of the counties to our west or south? Give us an update on what we might expect for the next couple hours. Anyone like to step forward and present that? Come to your call sign, please. Kilo Golf 5, Uniform Bravo, Bravo. David, please, go ahead. David, thank you very much for that. Appreciate that. Do you have any idea of what might be to the west of us? Like maybe Wise County or out that way, Parker County? Thank you very much. Seeing as how you're the first person that we're talking, would you like to take your turn and say hello, introduce yourself, and talk about anything particular you'd like to hear us talk about on the net today? Well, David, I've got to tell you, I hope I'm not interrupting here or doubling with you, but you sound a whole lot better than you have in the past. I'm hearing you clearly without any noise in the background. So I think you must have done good on your antenna. Did you buy that or build that or get it from a friend, or how did you come by your antenna? Okay, so this is a homebrew antenna. You built it yourself? I want to say hi. I suppose you know that hi is how we laugh in Morse code, H-I. But that's pretty cool, man. I won't bother you while you're trying to unwrangle yourself. But and I can tell while you're moving, I guess you get a little bit of noise. But when you're still, it's real clear. So anyway, good luck. And if you're going to be around for the net, feel free to join in, again here in a little bit. But Right now, I'm going to go say hello to Rob if he's still there. KG5KAV. Rob, are you with us? Well, a couple of minutes before the net, Rob was busy working on a radio and switching between a couple of radios and stuff, so I'm going to guess that he's probably occupied at the moment. He's likely to be listening, but is not in a spot to transmit. But, Rob, if you do hear me, feel free to pop in again in a little while and say hello. I'd like to try contacting I believe your name is Todd in Coppell. Whiskey Echo 5 Tango Romeo. Earlier the net, before the net, you mentioned that you were testing, making sure your radio is transmitting, I'm assuming. Are you with us for the net? And if so, welcome to the net.
Whiskey Echo 5 Tango Romeo, I am here, and the radar, by the way, looks clear to me all over the place. The only activity of storms worth showing on the radar are up in Oklahoma. And yes, I'm here. I am trying to start building an all-star node finally today, so I'm using my HT through my mobile rig to be able to walk around and still be able to hit this repeater. Whiskey Echo 5 Tango Romeo, back to net.
Thank you. May we call you Todd, by the way? Do you have a name you'd rather have?
Is the one and only name I've ever gone by, and it's even economical in Morse code and everything else because it's just got one D.
Well, thank you for that. I've been practicing. Or maybe I didn't space that properly. I was hoping to spell my name, but did. I think it is. Anyway, enough of that. Thank you, Todd. And I don't know if you'd like to take a moment now and explain just a little bit about All-Star or how you got your radio connected. Typically, at this time in the net, what we do is kind of collect information from whoever that would like to hear us talk about any particular subject. And I heard you mention All-Star, your mobile, and I guess you've got some relay and maybe some internet linking going on or something. Would you like to explain a little bit about what that is, or would you like to hear more of that discussion on this net, or do you have another favorite topic you'd like to hear us talk about?
So I'm a fairly new ham as of August when my son, who is also a ham, finally convinced me to get my license. While he was home before he went to school, he got me interested in All-Star nodes. So my HT is going back from here, from my HT up through the rooftop antenna, and I'm cross-banding, I think is what it's called, from my HT being on a simplex frequency down in up in the 440s, and then it pulls it across to go back to the 146 frequency you're on the repeater. The All-Star is a totally separate thing where I bought the pieces a long time ago and then have some family emergencies, so hopefully today I'll take apart some bow fangs and hook them up to a rim light.
Hamnet.
Well, cool. That's for a new ham, I've got to be able to say I really want to say congratulations. You sound like you're way into it, and you're actually doing some. Did you say like a remote control or a light? If this is an alert light, so that you know that there's a situation brewing that you need to get involved in or take care of.
So no alert lights yet. The rim light is a piece of hardware that'll let a Raspberry Pi become an all-star node.
Okay, cool. I guess that's a new one on me. I was thinking when you said family emergency that that they would do something, and then you would use the all-star node in your radio linking there to to set off some sort of an alarm light or something, so that you know that there's some activity you need to be aware of. Which also was kind of an interesting thing. If you haven't done that or thought of that, that's kind of a project in the back of my mind. Maybe I'll experiment a little bit with that at some time here in the near future. You've given me an idea. Thank you very much.
Emergency is a death and some illnesses down in Florida. So I spent a good bit of the year down in Florida, but your suggestion is good because that would help me with the problem I have in Florida, and that they could then get a hold of me. I'll have to think through that.
Okay, cool. Well, I can tell that you've got your hands full, and we'll let you get back to it for now. And I'm assuming you'll be listening for a little while. So if you get a moment where you'd like to, come back in and participate in more conversation, that's you're welcome very much to do so at any time. Just kind of a general announcement for everyone. Again, my name is Lee. I am K5WXR. We run very flexible here, by the way. We don't have any particular agenda or time or appropriate time in the net where we talk about specific things. So if you've got something on your mind, whenever you're thinking about it is the appropriate time. Don't be afraid to change the subject, or if you've got a question you'd like to ask, don't think that you have to wait for like Elmer's Corner or some specific time in the net. You can just pop on at any time. You can announce your call sign. You don't have to have checked in ahead of time or anything, and you can participate whenever you feel like it, if you feel like it, or if you're just listening, that's fine too. Also, you can listen to this on Broadcastify or RadioReference.com or there's a number of different internet feeds that are available, so that if you want to receive only, be able to hear this wherever you happen to be. If you're not in radio range, or perhaps you don't have a license yet, you can't transmit. We're using way up to track the folks we're talking to, and to keep a few little notes about what we're talking about. There is a feature in NetLogger called Almost Instant Messaging, AIM, and if I happen to notice it, right now it's kind of in my background, so I don't catch it very often, but we've got several people that are watching it and viewing it on NetLogger. So if any of you that are watching NetLogger, if you see a question come in from someone else off in a distant place, feel free to act on their behalf. You throw out your call sign, get my attention, and then tell us whatever you read out of the name window. And this way, folks that aren't in radio range can also participate in the net with the rest of us. That all of you can help all of those that are on NetLogger. There you go. Yeah, and I know you guys figured that out just as soon as I started talking about it, but one of my favorite expressions lately is using 50 words to say what could be said in 5, but I'm not that efficient when I get on the radio and start running my mouth. I guess you'll know that already, but I don't have to explain. Okay, anyway, we'll take a moment here. Let's go to another person who was checked in on NetLogger, I believe. I don't know if it's actually checked in necessarily, but KJ5DQ. Billy, I guess Billy is the name you prefer, unless I've got your my notes mixed up here, or I've got the wrong call sign altogether, and maybe you're off in another place altogether. I don't know where, according to QRZ, it's Cabot, and I may not have the right call sign typed in, or maybe you're visiting from some faraway place. But anyway, welcome. If Robbie, if you're listening, do you have can you join the net and say hello?
In 5 VPR.
In 5 VPR. I just happened to notice you in the AIM window as well. Hello, Randy. Go ahead.
Hi, Lee. Everybody. Good afternoon to you. I was just going to point out, since you're running multiple duties all at once there, within the monitor window on the net logger, there's a KI 5 Delta Quebec, as opposed to the one that was logged in for Kilo Juliet 5 Delta Quebec. Was just wondering if perhaps they were the same in 5 VPR.
Well, I've got to say that KI5DQ, the Dairy Queen call sign is very familiar to me, but I didn't remember all the rest of it. But now that you've mentioned that, I probably had I probably couldn't read the difference between the I and the J. So thank you, Randy. Let me ask. Is KI5DQ. Are you with us today on the radio, or are you just monitoring NetLogger? And if the answer is NetLogger only, how would you let us know? Maybe in the AIM window. Or I'll give a few seconds here and see if you go come on the radio.
KF5LZP for a radio check, over.
The KI5 station asking for a radio check. I didn't catch all of that, but if you sound good on the radio, if you'd like to try that again, please.
Hamnet.
KF5LZP for a radio check, over.
Well, that's interesting. I'm trying to respond to the radio check. However, it appears that maybe you're not hearing me. Maybe you're on simplex, or you've got your receive filters in there somehow or something, but you are transmitting on 146.92 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Does that help you any?
KF5LDJ, kind of overrode you there.
KF5LDJ, go ahead.
KF5LDJ. KF5LDJ.
KF5LDJ. Sounded like a stuck key there by somebody. Go ahead, Michael.
Sure what that is, but we are simulcasting on the machine. I don't know if that machine or what machine's going on, but if you're coming in a machine that is not the 146.92 repeater, I do recommend that you key down and you hesitate before speaking, just to make sure everything links up before you start with your message. This is KF5LDJ, back to net.
Michael, hi, this is Lee, K5WXR. This is digitally speaking net. Think we're broadcasting on 146.92, but Michael, if I caught you right, you broke up a little bit, but it sounds like you said we're linked to some other repeaters as well. I didn't catch which ones they were. So those of you that are listening may be listening from I don't know where, but so we just to reinforce what Michael just said, if you're trying to transmit on one of the linked up repeaters, we're all going to need to leave a little bit of extra space in between releasing the push to talk and the next person transmitting. So, and then when you do want to transmit, you'll need to key down, wait about a second, go ahead and say what you want to say, and then keep the key down for about another second, release, and we'll have to wait a couple of seconds in between retransmitting. So that's kind of how we'll play. And let me ask, I'm addressing now the other station that was trying to get in before. If you'd like to give that another try, please go right ahead. Well, I tell you what, we'll try that again in just a moment. Now that there doesn't seem to be any duplicate transmissions or anything, Michael, KF5LDJ, would you like to come back again and explain a little bit about the linking you just said a minute ago?
K5GDB is on the line. I think he'd be better explain it because I was not a repeater, but he was. But my understanding is we've been working on some all-star linking between different sets of repeaters so we can have it in case we have an income deal. We're using your net just to have some transmissions going to listen to it. I am on the 146.92 repeater. I am on an HD in my car. I do apologize. I don't have a mobile unit in this particular vehicle. The G24 in the colony is back up. It's running on a Raspberry Pi for a controller, so that's also experimental. But that's some of the stuff of ham radios, constant experimentation. KF5LDJ, back to that.
Michael, no apologies necessary. We enjoy experimentation. One of the things that this net is all about, trying new things, and talking about different things, and arranging different things, and new to us. Might be old to some of you, but new to some of us. So anyway, that's why we're here. So I hope you're enjoying it. Please don't react to radio transmissions or this and that and get irritated by it. We all should embrace it and enjoy that we're trying something that we've not done before or not done very often. So, thank you, Michael. Michael mentioned another station, a different station that might want to give us an update on what it is that this linking is doing. If that station is there, could you please come now with your call sign? Well, okay. Let me say that the KI5DQ, for some reason, I'm not catching the information. It's not coming up like it should. KI5DQ, are you listening? Anyway, I want you to know that I'm seeing you on NetLogger. I'm seeing the in the monitors, people monitoring the net, and also that that you're online in the AIM window. But I'm not catching the radio transmission for some reason. So not to worry about that. Let me welcome KG5OIV, Dennis. Hey, welcome to the net. I know you're on NetLogger. Are you by the radio? Would you like to say hello?
Hamnet.
Yes, Lee, I'm on the radio. Congratulations out there to Todd. He figured out how to do a crossband repeat with a handy-talkie. For him being a new ham, he's doing pretty well. Sounds great over here. Other than that, I'm not really doing much, just listening, and there was a message that came through on NetLogger. I'll give a brief pause here. This message is from KG5YQM-JD, and the message reads, Baofeng DMR radio with dual time slots. Will this support local repeaters? Model Radio Oddity and Baofeng RD5R DMR ham amateur two-way radio. The dual band, dual time slot walkie-talkie, 1024 channel, tier 1, tier 2 compatible with Moto Turbo. And he also mentions on here, thank you for talking about NetLogger, found it for the Mac. And that concludes the message from KG5YQM. This is KG5OIV, back to net control.
Dennis, thank you very much. Also, welcome to the net and all that, and thank you very much for relaying that traffic for KG5YQM. KG5YQM, welcome to the net. You're asking a couple of things about a couple of radio models that I am not familiar with, other than I know they exist. I've seen the advertisements, for example, like that Baofeng, for example. I had my eye on that as well. But let me just say this about that, and then we're going to ask, see if someone else on the net today is familiar with those specific models to confirm. But the net we're on today, 146.92 megahertz analog repeater out of Denton County, is Takara W5NGU repeater, analog repeater. It is possible on the MDR radios that I'm familiar with to program them for analog radio, not using time slots or talk groups or whatever, but in an analog mode. And if you're in an analog mode, you can get into this repeater. However, we've got some things linked, and I'm not sure what is linked. Maybe we linked them to DMR or something. I really don't know. So you may be hearing this, through a time slot or through, a DMR traffic or whatever. I don't know what all is linked, but I know there's some linking going on. So if your DMR radio supports analog, which I think all of them do, I would expect the ones, especially if they're dual band, to support analog and digital. So if you get into analog mode, you should be able to enjoy transmitting and receiving on this net. This is 146.920 megahertz, minus 600 offset, PL tone of 110.9. And if you happen to be linked on one of the other to something else, we'll have to see if someone on the net knows what that is. But let me ask, is anyone familiar with the radio models that were talked about, and also maybe what is being linked currently? Anyone have that information? Go ahead with your call sign.
KF5 ZCS.
That sounded a lot like Perry. Please go ahead.
Howdy, Lee. I don't have any information per se, but I just letting you know that I was listening to part of this net. I just turned on my radio, and your net's coming through on the TC220 machine on 224. So just to give you a heads up, I know that is one radio that's linked. I don't know if others are, as you were mentioning earlier, but I just was kind of catching part of your comments there just a few minutes ago. So just throwing that out there. KF5 ZCS, back to net.
W5TCN is checking in layout.
Perry and Jim, W5TCN, thank you very much for checking in. While you're there, I'm going to go back here in line. There's some other folks that have checked in, but Jim, while you're there, W5TCN, welcome to the net. Is there anything particular that's on your mind that you'd like to talk about on the net today?
Sir, I am focused on another project in the backyard I'm working on right now. Takes priority over that, but I think you got a very good program, you and everyone else that's putting into it. Over.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Feel free to pop in and out whenever it's convenient for you in between your backyard projects there. So anyway, we'll talk to you in a bit if you get a few minutes.
Making green money.
Who is making the green money there? Call sign, please.
Whiskey 5, making green money.
Sorry for the delay there, Fred. Welcome to the net, by the way. I thought you were talking about Jim's backyard project that he was making money, but I catch it now. At your call sign. Thank you. Fred, what's up here? Oh, by the way, John and a couple others, I didn't mean to skip over you before. We'll be back there in just a minute, but we're kind of not doing this in order, but that's fine. We love to be flexible and jump around. But, What's happening today, Fred? Anything you'd like to discuss on the net?
Oh, I'm kind of short-time mobile right now, headed toward the house. Got to go run a couple errands after I pick the wife up, go run a couple errands. Try to do that. I'm probably going to wind up building another All-Star node. Anyway, besides that, not too much going on.
Cool. I see All-Star is getting to be a very popular item today on this net, but popular actually in the area too.
I won't take too much time up here as I'm fixing to have to jump out. Well, I'm going to tell you, anybody thinking about building them one, there's two different images out there. There's the Debian image that you get off the All-Star website, and there's an image you can get off hamcui.org. The Debian images, there's not a lot of documentation, and if you want to go that route, I think those are the more stable ones. They're not too bad to work with, but if somebody wants to go that route with the Debian images, they download them one, pop it on a file. There's a GUI interface in there, and it'll tell them what to do. The GUI interface is fairly self-explanatory, but I'm putting together, I should have it put together either this evening or tomorrow, and I'll share it. Anybody that wants it, you can install Allmon too onto your Pi so that you can, monitor it with a web page and connect it to disconnect and shop commands, things like that. I'm going to put the documentation together on how to install it on the Debian end. So anyway, once I do that, my email's good on QRZ. It's whiskey5makinggreenmoney@AOL.com. But anyway, like I said, it's good on QRZ. So, anybody's got any questions, shoot me an email. If they want to go that route, we play with some stuff. No problem. Anyway, I'm back to the house, so I'm going to go ahead and check out. But just thought I'd throw that out there to y'all real quick. W5MGM.
W5NGU, thank you very much. By the way, would you like to, or do you know someone who might want to come back maybe next week or something and give a little presentation on All-Star? What it is, what it's about, and how it works, and kind of a little overview on it. Is that kind of up your neck of the woods? Would you enjoy doing that, or do you know someone else I should twist their arm and maybe get them to do it?
I cannot do it next week. I know for a fact, with it being Easter Sunday, I've got family obligations, so I know I cannot do it next week. Let me figure out what's going on about the 8th of April, the following Sunday. Let me find out what's going on, Lee. I'll shoot you an email, see if I can help you out with that. Okay? That works? That would be good. So I'll shoot you an email, we'll figure out what's going on, and see if I can make it that day. W5MGU.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, that day or the week after or whenever it's good for you is fine. I completely forgot about next week being Easter, and my wife was just reminded me of that this morning too. And well, that short-term memory stuff, that read over memory, write over, whatever you call it. You get something up there in the front, and the next thing you know, it erases, and you put something else in that spot. So, oh well. By the way, occasionally you may hear my wife Lori is, she's probably 10 or 15 feet away. I don't know if you're hearing her in the background periodically, but I've been told that the microphone I'm using picks up every sound in the house pretty well. So if you hear a coughing right now, that's her. So we have third-party traffic. She can hear what's going on, and occasionally she'll contribute. So everybody can say hi, Lori. Hi, Lori.
Lori, I found a driveway, so I'm checking out. We'll catch y'all later. And I'll shoot you an email, Lee. I think you're good on QRZ, so I'll shoot you an email. W5NGU.
Thank you very much. Oh, I have to, this is a good opportunity here for me to say a few words about digitally speaking .net, by the way. Randy, N5VPR, has created a website that he follows this net closely and picks up a lot of the things that we talk about here and posts them on the website, digitallyspeakingnet.net. So if you didn't catch some of the things that we talk about, Randy has been very good, and I want to say thank you, Randy. I think we all thank you for posting some of the links to various things that we talk about on this net, as well as occasionally some of the recordings of this net. So if you want to go back and hear something over again, you got a chance to do that at digitallyspeakingnet.net. And also, on the website there is a link to an email ID. You can reach me at Lee. That's L-E-E, Lima Echo Echo. I'm Digital Lee, right? So anyway, Lee at digitallyspeakingnet.net. If you want to shoot me an email that way, or like Fred was saying, you can look me up on QRZ. You can find my home phone number and my other personal emails and that sort of thing. So feel free to drop a note. Also, you can get Randy, N5VPR, at digitallyspeakingnet.net. As the webmaster, if you would like to make a suggestion of something that should be there, or type of thing that might look better if it was rearranged differently, or if you have some idea that you want to shoot a note to Randy about the website, feel free to do that as well. He is November 5, VPR, Viper, Victor Papa Romeo. N5VPR. I can say it really easy. Why I go blank on phonetics, I don't know. But let me, maybe I should have asked Randy, is it okay if I say that over the radio, by the way? Randy, N5VPR?
You bet. N5VPR. That's good for me. Anybody have any suggestions, or if you'd like something accessible to the group, just drop me a note, let me know, and we'll take care of it and put it on there. I'm in the process of kind of revamping, making it a bit more colorful with some pull-down menus and things that we'll have Lee take a look at it and see what he thinks, and be glad to cooperate and help all we can. N5VPR.
Yeah, I'm going to share another little secret too. Randy created a really nifty logo. I don't think it's up there yet, but it'll be a surprise when you see it, and I'll explain it later if anybody has any questions about it, or maybe we let Randy explain it. I don't. Randy, would you like to make a comment about the logo?
Sure. What I came up with for a logo idea was taking the audio of Lee's voice whenever he gives an introduction of the digitally speaking network, and just took that graphic representation of the audio and put it into a small graphic with the overlays, and that just kind of lent itself to a nice type logo for the network. Once I get the new interface up online, there'll also be an Easter egg or two hidden throughout the net. So as you kind of venture around taking a look at things, see if you can find the Easter eggs. N5VPR.
Thank you again, Randy. That sounds pretty clever, and we should all have fun doing that. I guess it's station identification time. Hello, hi. My name is Lee. You're listening to the Digitally Speaking Net on 146.92 megahertz, the W5NGU repeater. My call sign is Kilo 5 Whiskey X-Ray Romeo. And like we were just saying, feel free to drop a note or any of those kinds of things if you have a suggestion or recommendation or anything like that. I have not followed the normal routine here very well of making sure we say hello to everybody, and I know that there's at least a half a dozen of you waiting for me to at least say hi. Some of those are KG5UWV, sorry, got that transposed, and W5GJT. I guess you could call that lurking in the background. Won't be lurking for long once we get around to that. And several people I skipped over, like QYC and YQM and whatever. I'm going to try to, and K5CEL. I'm going to see if I can scroll back up here and see who else I might have missed and apologize to them. But the one that I don't recognize right here are K5CEL out of Grapevine. Are you with us on the radio, K5CEL? Or are you just listening on NetLogger? But if you're there, would you like to say hello?
Hamnet.
Well, good afternoon, Lee, and thank you for running the net today. This is K5CEL. The name is John, and the previous call sign was KG5QHF. I finally got rid of that call sign since no one could understand it without making 3 or 4 calls, at least on HF. So K5CEL is a new call sign. Hopefully, it'll be easier for everyone. He didn't have anything too much in particular, just kind of monitoring the net. First time to tune it up. I don't do a whole lot of VHF, but the other day I purchased a programming cable for my Kenwood, and as you can imagine, that made a world of difference being able to get this thing online. So I've been experimenting with that a little bit. I would be curious to know if anyone has any experience with magnetic loop receive antennas. I purchased a mag loop from a gentleman, and his call sign is it's a W6LVPE, who markets receive only loop. And I've got it up on the roof, and I just haven't been having great luck with it. I was trying to address a noise problem on 40 meters, and although it does reduce the noise a little bit, it helps to null it out. It also takes the signal down with it as well, so I don't see that it's doing me much good. So I'm trying to figure out if maybe there's an issue with it, maybe the power injection into the preamp or some other problem I've yet to figure out. So, at any rate, that's if anybody has anything to enlighten me on regarding mag loop antennas, I'd love to hear that. So that's all I have. K5CEL, back to net.
Well, John, I've got to say thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for joining the net. We have done this net, every Sunday afternoon for, I don't know, nearly 4 years, I suppose. But I just wanted to say thank you. I hope you enjoy it. I hope that this works out for you, and we'll find somebody here in a minute that may be more familiar with the mag loop antenna that you're talking about than I am. But I just want to let you know that we would appreciate you if you want to come back, in the future. We're here every Sunday afternoon. next week is Easter, and it's going to be a little bit strange, but we'll have the net, but it may be a quickie, because we know that it's a family day and all that kind of stuff. So, but anyway, I hope you become a regular. As far as mag loop antennas, I collected up parts to try to build one myself here. On a couple of different times I attempted it, never ever completely put it back together. A couple of little test models that I was using did not function, but I know where I went wrong with them. But and I've been to a couple of presentations where some really, really strong engineering, professor type guys gave some presentations on them, and it became clear why mine didn't work. But anyway, I don't know if they're on the net today or not. But let me put the word out here right now. Is there anyone on the net today who's familiar with mag loop antennas that would like to, say a few words about them? Anyone, please come to your call sign now, please.
Kilo 5 Victor Oscar Papa.
Hey, welcome, Paul, K5VOP. Go right ahead.
Well, I've been listening for a while, and I stepped out to grab something and caught just the end that something about mag loops. I'm certainly not any kind of an engineer on them or anything like that, but I do use the alpha loop, and it goes from 10 to 40. Then I add an additional coax and make it 10 or 40 through 80. But it's very simple. It's very compact, so I use it when I travel. It fits in a small. I'm trying to think of the liter size. If this had a Camel water bladder in the backpack, but I don't know. But a very small backpack. I fit the radio and everything in it, and it basically consists of the radiator element, I guess is what I'd call it, is just a coax. It's an LMR 400 loop of coax with a smaller loop inside of it, and let me break. They are mostly, at least from what I've seen or historically, used as more of a listening antenna, and they're great for listening. More people are using them, and there's actually another model I can't remember. I've been tempted to look at. Looks like it's very well made and designed. More people are using them for transmitting and like Go kits, Go radios. So the highest one I've seen goes to 45 watts, I believe. And so they're not high power, but they are very portable and very easy to set up. They sit on a tripod usually, and it'll have a little tuner dial on the box that the coax connects into. And so depending on what frequency you're at, I'll switch to FM or AM, and I'll tune that till it's the loudest. Then I go back to my radio and fine-tune the SWR to transmit. So there's a little more work to that to actually transmit when you switch frequencies. But I'm not sure if there's a specific question or something out there, but that's what I know about them. I like them. They're great for travel. K5VOP, back to net.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Did you run into difficulty when you were first trying to use it as far as tuning it or adjusting it in any particular way that if it doesn't seem to function, is there some trick that you might have picked up about how to make it work?
Well, honestly, it wasn't too difficult. I have not made any 80-meter contacts. That was, you add a second loop. I may try that again here in the next month or so, but it's not difficult. It really isn't. You just, once you understand how to tune it, and you can do it with your radio, or you can do it by just listening to the noise as you key down in AM or FM. My big thing that I really didn't understand at first, it is mostly omnidirectional, but it's also directional. And so look at like a donut, it's directional, both directions that the donut goes. And I wasn't quite sure on that in the beginning. I finally realized it, and I was able to start angling it. And I use it when I'm mostly in Japan. So I started angling it south and then east, and I was able to pick up and hit the places I want to, say Indonesia, Russia, or Philippines. So there's nothing too terribly difficult on it, actually.
K5CEL comment.
Thank you, Paul. K5CEL. I was just about to go back and ask you if that helped. I think go right ahead.
Okay, Paul, thanks for the comments. This particular antenna is a receive-only configuration. It's marketed by W5NGU, and Larry Plummer, I believe, is his name. And the antenna, the antenna's preamp, which of course is located on the antenna itself, is powered via 12 volts through a power injector through the coax. And my overall experience has been that although it reduces the noise level slightly, the signal strength drops down quite a bit, which I didn't really expect. I was hoping that the signal to noise ratio would be a little better than it's turned out to be. So I'm wondering if maybe there's some problem with the maybe voltage to the to the preamp, or somebody told me that that coax is a little more susceptible because of that, because you're carrying 12 volts through it. I'm tempted to just pull it off the roof and stick it up in the backyard with a separate link with coax and double check that. But I was just curious if anyone had experience with that particular type of antenna. So thanks for your comments, Paul. I appreciate it. K5CEL, back to that.
Hamnet.
Well, thank you. Let me ask the group one more time. Is there anyone else in the group, or either the gentleman who already has spoken? It's fine. I mean, I don't mean anybody else necessarily, but anyone familiar with this antenna that may want to make a suggestion or recommendation to John about what he should try next? Anyone? Come to your call sign, please. Well, okay. I guess we'll all be sitting on the edge of our chair, waiting to hear next week a status report or a follow-up to see how that goes. Tell you what, let's take a moment, a pause from that for just a moment, and let's go to KG5QYC. This would be Dan in the colony. Dan, if you're still with us, how's everything going? And sorry that I skipped over you before, but welcome.
This is KG5QYC. That's okay. I was kind of in and out and stuff, cooking dinner for family. But anyways, everything seems to be going good here. Enjoyed listening to everybody and with their little problems and, the solution people come up with. That's the wonderful thing about these nets. But anyways, this is KG5QYC out.
Oh, thank you, Dan. Appreciate that comment. We like all comments. We like to know how things are going with all of our friends out there today. I've probably mentioned in the past a few times this. Here again, I'm speaking to everyone, not just Dan. But in my mind, we're all friends. I'm sitting at my kitchen table with a mobile radio and a power supply sitting here to my right and a computer to my left. This nice MFJ table mic in front of me, and my wife's across the room here, sitting in a recliner. She's up running around. Period. You might hear her in the background, but in my mind, all of you are right here in the living room, or we're sitting around the kitchen table, and we're kind of having our Sunday afternoon get together. So I like to think of us all as friends. We're free to share information between each other or ask each other questions. You know, occasionally somebody else will come knock at the door and join the group, join the discussion, and somebody else may have to leave here and there because we all got things to do. And if you need to go out and come back again, that's all fine too. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. I think of all of us here every Sunday afternoon as a big get together. I hope you all enjoy it as well. I would like to glancing over the thing here and trying to see who I forgot. I know we've got Gene waiting in the wings, and we've got W5GWA, a newcomer to the recently onto NetLogger. But let's actually go back one more. KG5YQM. Your familiar call sign. Did we talk today yet? KG5YQM. Go ahead.
Kilo Golf 5 Yankee Quebec Mike. Yes, I was on NetLogger and I had put in the AIM window about the DMR radio compatibility with the local repeaters.
Yeah. Dennis relayed your message. It sounds like you either got that fixed or you went to a different radio. Are you talking on that radio now?
Well, I was looking at buying it. I was just curious about the time slots and the way that you program the radio, whether it would be efficient to use what they're using, because it doesn't use chirp, so it uses CSV files. And do the repeaters, are they doing P25 phase 2 or 1?
Well, you know what? That's a really good question. I remember hearing some discussion amongst in the Dakar Club, the Denton County Amateur Radio Association, where they were talking about a P25 repeater. I don't know if we have one in the club or not, but let me ask. Anyway, when we're talking DMR, they were generally not talking P25. But let me ask: does anybody have any knowledge or information about P25 repeaters around?
KG5BZI.
KG5BZI. Go ahead, please.
Lee, I missed the initial question or comment about the W5NGU DMR compatibility issue. But to answer his question, the DMR repeaters are on, they're Tier 2 compliant, which I don't believe that DMR, the DM5R, is not compliant, so it could not be used on a repeater. It would it causes some pretty serious issues with the time slots. You can listen, you can use it like a scanner for DMR, but the radiality I'm not sure of. But I know for a fact the DM5R is not compatible with DMR Tier 2 KG5BZI.
Thank you. You read my mind. That was going to be the next thing I was going to ask about. I know that there are some radios available, some DMR radios that were intended to be sold in Europe, where they use the like Tier 1 DMR, kind of the way we use FRS and whatnot. But I don't know about that one. I know that there's like a W5NGU for around $50 or something, and I don't know about it, but I was seriously thinking I ought to look into it myself. But anyway, thank you for that, Brad. Let me ask again here. Was that helpful, or do you have more questions about DMR?
that was helpful. This one just said it's Moto Turbo compatible with Tier 2 slot capability, and it's an $80 Baofeng. I mean, it's not much, but how much people? I mean, how many people or hams are using the digital compared to analog?
You know, we probably ought to poll the group and see, but one clarification I'd like to make before we try that. This is the digitally speaking net, right? We talk about all things. And maybe, all things radio, and we talk about all things too. We get sidetracked, I guess we don't really focus. But when we talk about digital, there are lots of different types of digital. By the way, I'm speaking to the entire group, not to you particularly, but to just in general, whenever we use the word digital, a lot of people in their minds that means something that's computer related, and they think of, like, say, FL Digi, sending sound card type analog data over amateur radio on analog radio, but it's digital traffic, right? I mean, it's data that comes out of your computer, and we change it to tones and send it out. Well, that's called digital. That's digital modes, digital operation. When you see it in band plans and other things, that's digital. Packet that we use for APRS, for example, and for WinLink.
Hamnet.
The AX.25 packet stuff that's been around for 20 or 30 years that we all use when we're using APRS, and we don't even think about it, probably. Or WinLink. We send email all the time. We've done several nets on that topic over the last few months. We've got a number of folks on this net to download the WinLink software and load it up in their radios and actually send email, over amateur radio, which is digital traffic, but that has nothing to do with DMR specifically, or that kind of digital. Okay, and then when you talk about, like, digital voice, for example, you've got Fusion, Yaesu's Fusion with the C4FM type, where they divide up some things and you can go digital or analog and have digital voice or not. You've got D-Star that has some digital voice capability, and of course, there's DMR that we're talking about, digital mobile radio. So in the DMR world, which is all digital, the radios have an analog capability also. So if you're using a DMR radio and you're talking analog over it, like some people do right here on this net, do we still call that DMR? That's an interesting notion. Is it DMR when you're talking on this net and you're talking analog over your DMR radio? In conversation, would you call that DMR? Maybe. In my mind, I kind of separate the actual digital voice part from analog, but I'm not an authority on it. That's just what my interpretation of the words. All I'm trying to share with everyone is be a little bit of the word digital. I mean, don't be cautious. Freely throw out the word. It should be something in your vocabulary. But keep in mind, when you say digital, you might be thinking one thing, but other people you're talking to might be thinking about something else altogether. So, let me come back to the question at hand about how many people are using digital. On this net, I'll bet you there's a high percentage, because this is a digital net, obviously. That's what we talk about. But how do we answer this question? Should we take a poll? We go run down everybody and say, do you use digital or not? What kind of number do we want? Do we want actual numbers, like 8 out of 10? Or do we want to know just, there's a lot of it around. A lot of DMR repeaters, a lot of people buying DMR radios, assuming you're talking DMR when you say digital. Would you like to make a comment, by the way? I didn't mean to run off at the mouth.
Not at all. I just figured since we were talking DMR, we would, I guess we can't make assumptions that people would, figure digital and DMR and put them together. But, that makes sense. So I just wonder how many people use DMR compared to analog.
Well, tell you what, right this moment, I don't have everybody checked in, but I've got like 18 people on the log. Everybody that has DMRs that would like to, that uses DMR, why don't you just, everyone shout out your call sign right now, and we'll try to figure out how many people are doubling. It'll be fun. Go ahead. Let's hear your call signs if you're on DMR.
Echo 5, Tango Romeo.
For 0, India Lima.
KB5, DNR.
Well, I didn't write them down. There were a number of doubles there, but I expect it's probably half the group. My straw vote, informal, non-scientific survey. Does that help? Go ahead.
W5YQ. Yeah, that was perfect. I just heard people talking about, that some music's not very popular, so it was a good move. Appreciate it, ladies. Thank you. W5YQ.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you could tell in my voice or not, but I'm kind of giggling inside. I think that was a lot of fun. We managed to get some of the folks that are just listening to, out there to go ahead and throw out their call signs, and say hi, and let us know that they're there. So, all of you that are listening that have not actually checked in, I know we probably didn't give you, or I didn't give you much time to actually check in, but I want to say thank you very much. It's nice to know you're all listening.
KG5, BZI with a comment.
KG5, BZI. Brad, go ahead.
Just to give an idea, worldwide, I believe there are over 90,000 registered DMR users.
Wow. It's growing rapidly. Cool, man. Thank you for that. To put that in perspective, I think currently in the United States of America we have about 800 or 900,000 active amateur radio license holders in the USA. I don't know what the worldwide number is, but of everyone who has a call sign that is a current call sign, we're talking 1/10 of the world compared to the U.S. population of all amateurs in the USA. So whether that's 1 out of 20 in the world or 1 out of 30 in the world, I don't know. But you got to remember, a lot of these are brand new tech licenses. Some of them may be just now getting their license. By the way, we have a class in Denton that may be over by now, and people have tested and know whether or not they are new hams or not. So those 10 or 12 or 15 of you that are at the Emergency Operations Center in Denton that may be listening because you just passed your license exam, congratulations and welcome to the hobby. Let me take a moment here and see if there's someone else who would like to check in. I know that I didn't get to Gene yet, but let me see if there's a call sign of anyone who wants to jump in right away. No, let me do this first. We'll go to W5GJT. Gene, kept you waiting long enough. Welcome if you're still there, my friend.
K5 WXR. This is W5GJT. Hi Lee, nice to hear you again. Good evening, everybody. That mag loop antenna looks like it has got some good reviews, and I've also posted a review video. Nothing more to add. I'll be listening back to the net. This is W5GJT.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you. It's always nice to hear your voice. Appreciate you following that closely and the contributions that you make. Let me ask if I may have this wrong, and there may not be a way to say this, but KG5UWV, KG5 Uniform Whiskey Victor. QRZ says you're out of Houston. Name is Dale. Did I misinterpret the call sign, do you think? Or do we actually have somebody from Houston on the net today? Go ahead if you're there.
Hamnet.
This is KG5UWV. What's reporting on NetLogger is incorrect. I'm actually, QRZ has me in Richland Hills. I'm actually up at Pilot Point right now. My name is Derek. I thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. I know that we do have a call sign that's VW. I think it's VWJ or something. I can't remember for sure off the top of my head right now. I'm under a lot of pressure. Everyone's listening to test my memory here, and I'm embarrassing myself. But so when I saw the I was thinking that there was a transposition, but I'm actually picking that up off the NetLogger, stations listening. So anyway, that's sorry. Anyway, greetings, and obviously you're listening to that. Would you like to, I don't know, share a little bit about your experience, or do you have a question or something you'd like to hear us talk about? Oh man, I didn't make the change here. I don't have the. Let me see if I can fix this while you're talking. You please come back again. No, I don't really have anything specific. I'm fairly new ham. Took my technician in general back in August, and just learning. Just got my new HF rig and talked to some people today. So today I'm just listening in. KG5UWV, clear. Well, thank you very much for joining that and having the courage to get on and say these things. I know we have a lot. Want to just listen for a long time and don't get around to actually pushing the button for a while. And I just want to say congratulations for you. You have the right knack in your voice and your ability to speak clearly and all that stuff. And your radio sounds nice. And thank you for joining. I hope you enjoy the hobby, and I hope that you find maybe a radio club or two around. We've got 3 or 4 or 5 of them within a short distance. If you want to meet some of the other guys face to face or ask questions or anything like that, maybe in a little bit we'll give a quick rundown of some of the radio clubs and different meetings and things coming up. But anyway, welcome. Thank you. I've already joined the Dakar Club, went to one meeting, and I haven't decided. I'm not sure whether or not I'll be there tomorrow night. So anyway, thanks for that. And KG5UWV, clear.
15 hours, 30 minutes, 75 degrees.
Again, and welcome as a member of the club. Oh, and also, let me take this opportunity to extend the invitation, especially for this net, to everyone. By the way, anyone, if you can hear me, we'd like to have you participate in this. It's not, of course, we're using the Denton County repeater, and it's the Denton County Amateur Radio Association who maintains this and whatnot. And I'm a member of DECARA as well as a member of LARA, the Louisville Amateur Radio Association, and the LARK, the LAARK, the Lake Area Amateur Radio Club spelled with a K, and also the Metrocrest Amateur Radio Society, meets in Carrollton. There's a and a ARRL, of course, and whatever Central like 5, and also one that we've never talked about on the radio before. Well, I'm not going to talk about it now either, but there is another radio club around. But here locally, in the town I live in, Highland Village, enough said about that. Let me move on here. I've already overspoke.
N5 VPR.
N5 VPR. Randy, go ahead.
Lee, I wonder if you would allow me to ask a question of W5NGU, Fred, if you're still there. I was just wondering, do you have a crossband, either an all-star node or something set up currently running N5 VPR?
Let me just interject here. MGM Fred, if you're there, please feel free to respond to Randy.
Lee, N5 VPR. The reason I was asking, sort of in line with our digitally speaking that we're following with you, looking at the digital pan adapter, I've been kind of tuning across since someone was mentioning crossband transmitting, and I found the 222 meg repeater was echoing the net, but I also found a signal at 446.225 megahertz that is also echoing about at least half of the output from the 146.92 repeater. I was just wondering if it was a crossband somewhere close by here in Frisco. N5 VPR.
Did you say 446.225?
Affirmative. 446.225 N5 VPR.
I'm scratching my brain. It's a familiar sounding frequency, but I can't remember exactly why. But it could be that somebody is crossbanding privately, or it could be that we have another repeater off somewhere that is linked up. We have the capability, just for people that may like to be aware of this, in the in Dakara and the other clubs, the capability to link 4, 5, or 6 repeaters together that we have, and some of the other club repeaters like K5LRK and some of those that I'm not sure what the status of that linking is at the moment, but there is a background network of things, and we've talked about All-Star and whatnot, but there are some things that are behind the scenes that a lot of people takes a number of people to work on, but especially Andrew, KE5GDB. Andrew, if you're listening, yeah, I'm talking about you. Thank you very much for all the things you do, but he's been amazing at planning and building and putting things together and creating links and whatnot. So there's a lot of capability that we have that that I don't even use. You know what I mean? It's available, but it's not something I don't link up a bunch of repeaters on a routine basis. Although occasionally at night, like at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, we have linked about 3 or 4 or 5 repeaters together along with Echo Link, and wind up linking them to Australia and a couple other places. But and talk to when it's midnight here, it's like their drive time in Australia, and a fellow named Lynn, KC5MPX, who may be listening also, my things are reset. We get these repeaters linked up, and I might time out 6 repeaters without thinking. Yeah, please, thank you. Anyway, sometimes it's late at night. We get a whole group of us together, and virtually anyone on the repeaters that happen to be there are able to talk to everyone on the other repeaters that we're linked to, even when they're in other countries. So it's a lot of fun. It gives people, like, technician class operators that only have, say, 2 meters radios or whatever. They can wind up talking around the world by doing this without even knowing, how to actually do echo link and whatnot. All it takes is one person to link them up, and everybody gets to talk on them. So anyway, I just thought I'd share that. I don't know why I started talking about all that linking, but I guess what I'm saying is, right this moment, I don't even have a way of knowing, or maybe I have a way to, but I don't know which repeaters are linked other than the one that Perry talked about. So if you're hearing this net on something other than 146.92 megahertz or 223 or 224, I'm not sure which one it's linked to, 224.92 probably. If you're hearing it on anything other than that, would you please come down to your call sign and let us know what frequency you're listening to? It was a little bit faint, but I think that was Paul VOP. Go ahead.
Yeah, K5 VOP. I thought I would try while you talked about it. I switched over to 224, and that's what I'm accessing now. And I could hear you when I switched over.
Cool. Thank you. Could you repeat the frequency you're listening on one more time, please?
224.00 megahertz.
Thank you. 224 zip. That would be the Lake Area Amateur Radio Club 220 repeater, if I recall off the top of my head. Could you confirm that?
Yes, that is the Colony Lake K5LRK repeater. That's 224, and if you're wanting to get on it with a 2 meter or with a 220, it's a 110.9 tone and a negative 1.6 offset.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate knowing that. I don't know if it's time to check on the weather or not. We've been going here for an hour and 45 minutes, I guess, an hour and 30 minutes. I don't know. Anybody out there getting tired? Anybody have an update on what's maybe happening as far as weather in the surrounding areas? Do we need to curtail if something moves into one of the other counties where the weather service might be monitoring? Anyone want to give an update on, especially if you're far away, or especially in the to the west of Denton, like Wise County or perhaps Parker County?
W5TM.
WZ5TM. Tim, hey, welcome to the net. I'm glad to hear you on the air. I've been a little bit concerned that you weren't feeling too well. We missed you last night on your Saturday night net, but we tried to stand in. I don't know if you heard any of that, but welcome. Go ahead, Tim.
No, Lee, I didn't get a chance to check that out. But I did have a question for Paul. I was just wondering what they're using to link the 224 repeater with this repeater.
Yeah. But Paul, K5VOP, do you know how that linking is being accomplished?
Controller, I believe, for the repeater. So, don't know if he's listening or what, but that's an Andrew question. K5VOP.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I doubled with you at the beginning of that before you said it was an Andrew question. You said something about the controller. Could you repeat that part, please?
Oh, sure. I just said I know that Andrew's involved, so a Raspberry Pi is going to be there somewhere, and I believe it's being controlled by a Raspberry Pi, the repeater controller, I believe. And I'm assuming that's how he's linking it as well, but I do not know for sure, so that is definitely an Andrew question.
Yeah. And I'm going to venture a guess here that All-Star might be included in there somewhere in that discussion, and that Dakara LAN and LarkNet might be part of that discussion. But I don't know. I'm just throwing that out. Sharing what few little buzzwords I may have heard. Probably a terrible thing for me to do, being the NCS on a net and spouting out stuff that I really don't know for sure. So let me see if I can just suck those words right back, pretend you never heard them, and pretend you didn't hear them here. Unless it turns out to be true, then you heard it here first. This is K5WXR. I'm sorry, feeble attempt at humor. Tim, I don't know, did that shed any light on it or point you in the right direction?
That's pretty much what I thought. I just wanted to see for sure. I'm just starting to. Yeah, I've got Echo Link hooked up here at home. I'm starting now to look at All-Star, and I can do with it also. So that's what I was just wondering. So use that 5TM back to that.
Thank you, Tim. And truly, it is nice to hear you on the radio. Hope you get as much rest as you need, and we all wish you well. I know there's at least a couple of folks that I forgot to, or I didn't get around to greeting and saying hello to yet, and there's probably several of you that are probably waiting to check in even. But let me ask if W5GWA, are you listening, and would you like to say hello?
This is Whiskey 5 Golf Whiskey Alpha, and I will say hello and thank you, Lee, for a great disc. Always interesting. I have been moving antennas around and trying to figure out how to transmit inside a house with radiant barrier, and it's kind of difficult. But hopefully I'm getting out. So back to that, Whiskey 5 Golf Whiskey Alpha.
You're making it into this repeater and on the net fine. I'll say that your signal is perhaps a little bit weaker than it could be, but it's perfectly clear. We hear every word you're saying 100%, and maybe a little bit of people always talk about bacon frying, and
I'm trying to come up with some other analogies because, I don't know if people like bacon or not, or enjoy bacon frying or whatever. And I'm thinking my wife said something the other day about that sounds more like rain on the metal patio roof. And so this is rain. Sounds a little bit like it's raining lightly on the hot tin roof in our back patio. So if that's a better sound for radio weakness or static, I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm not poking fun at you or any of that stuff. I'm just trying to let you know how things are going. And if we weren't honest with each other about things, how would we ever know what we sound like in order to improve? But I just want to say thank you. You're doing just fine on the net. We all hear you 100% what you're saying, and welcome. And if there's anything that we can do to help, or anything that I can do to help, or anybody else on the net to give us some advice, we'll be happy to do it. Can you confirm you're Gordon in Hickory Creek? Is that correct?
Yes, this is Gordon in Hickory Creek. I moved. I used to be in Hidden Valley, and now I'm in Hickory Creek. Different house, and it is a challenge with the radiant barrier in the attic. Antennas in the attic or in the house don't work very good, so hopefully I'll probably have to bite the bullet and run a wire and put it outside somehow. But right now, this is just kind of high in the house, and so it's good to hear I'm getting out. I tried to participate in the Aries net, and they couldn't hear me, so I made some adjustments, and I'm glad to hear this is better. Appreciate the signal report, and again, this is Gordon, W5GWA, back to net.
And congratulations there on your call sign that matches your initials. So, I might mention that there's a number of folks that are usually on this net, myself included, although right now I'm not using that antenna, but we've had pretty good success. Of course, it depends on if you're, down next to the creek in Hickory Creek, or if you're up on one of the hills in Hickory Creek. But with a J-pole antenna inside the house, somewhat close to a window, a number of folks are using the metal copper cactus type J-poles that we build as projects here and there, and also the ladder line type antennas that you can pick up either on the internet or build yourself. I've built several of them. Some of my friends have built several, and sometimes we'll have a club project or something where we build a number of them. But I know that one of our regular participants, I haven't heard him today, but he likes the one from Ed Fong on the internet, the doctor at Stanford or wherever that has his students, his grad students, make them as class projects and sells them on the internet to raise money for the things that they do there at school. And then there's another guy in N9TAX and a couple others that that build lots of these ladder line antennas for not too much money. But I enjoy building them myself. So anyway, whatever you want to do, but you shove it up a piece of PVC pipe and you just go stand that over, near a window somewhere, and that generally, that might help a lot. I don't know what you're using, but that's one that doesn't take up a lot of room in the house. This is K5WXR. This is Digitally Speaking Net. Back to you, Gordon, for a comment.
W5GWA, those are some very good thoughts, and I may have to do it. Today, my antenna is it's a auto mobile antenna that's sitting on top of a bookshelf, so it's not very effective. It's probably only 16 or so inches tall. It has coils in it to make it the right length, but apparently I am getting out at least a little bit. But I like those ideas, and I'll definitely do some more research and thinking. So thanks again, and appreciate the net very much. W5GWA, back to net.
Okay, let me offer one quick other suggestion before somebody else beats me to the punch. I'm sure there's at least a dozen people on here that are going to offer the same suggestion. But when she's not looking, go grab a cookie sheet, like a metal pizza pan or even a square cookie sheet or some kind of a piece of metal, and stick your mag mount on top of that, and then put that right there in the same location or wherever you can put it. If you can clamp that mag mount antenna on top of a file cabinet or something that could work as a counterpoise or ground plane, you'll probably improve that mag mount performance 100%. Probably double its output. But anyway, and you could try that right now if you go get one that she doesn't care about, or maybe you have your own. I shouldn't just assume that you're going to go sneak one out of the kitchen cupboard, but anything that you can do to put some metal or some radials or a ground plane or some kind of counterpoise on under that magnet will help a lot. Anyway, let's go back and see if you have a comment on that one.
No particular comment. That's a good idea. I have, now that you mentioned it, I think I've heard that before, and certainly as long as it doesn't interfere with any of my cookie possibilities here, I think it's a great idea. So thanks again. W5GW.
All 5, Uniform Bravo Bravo. I have a comment.
Hello, David. Welcome back. Love to hear your comment. Go ahead.
I'm not sure how effective this is in reality, but I heard if you take a copper or a steel disc that can fit your mag mount, and that's a little wider in diameter, and you drill some holes in that for different counterpoises that are 1/4 or 1/2 of the wavelength of the frequency you intend to transmit on, I heard that can sometimes work as effectively or more effectively than a cookie sheet.
Well, that's an interesting theory, by the way, and I have to agree with you, by the way. Just immediately, there's lots of things that can work probably better, and depending on the size of your cookie sheet and shape of it and where it is in proximity, lots of other things. But if you take just a plain ordinary mag mount antenna, now I'm assuming that the one that he has based on his description is a quarter wavelength vertical, probably a dual bander, the one with a little spring in the middle. Let me go back to Gordon. Gordon, could you describe your mag mount antenna, please?
You may not be able to hear me. I think I'm having some issues here with the radio, but it's a very small, and it's a mag mount, just traditional, like you see, able to handle up to 50 watts.
Would you describe it as the little Hershey's Kiss type antenna with a real lightweight cord coming out of it, or would you describe it more like one of these $20 or $25 MFJ mag mounts where the magnet's about the size of the palm of your hand or so, and it has like a little springy like thing in the middle? Anyway, back to you.
It is, it indeed does have the Hershey's Kiss style magnet on the bottom, but it has a couple of L coils in it that supposedly, according to the literature, make it handle both 2 meter and 440 well. But it's not, interestingly, it's not actually exactly 19 inches. It's a little bit less. Back to you.
Yeah, it's kind of, I believe they're going to call that a quarter wave antenna, but and the little coil part that kind of, you took a longer wire and you bend it around, I don't know, a pencil or
something that has, you know, a little piece of pipe or something, and you put some coils in it, then overall that winds up getting shorter now. And there should be one section of that that's good for 440, probably about 6 inches long or so. And there's another section that's it's going to be probably 18 or 16 inches or something like that, because some of the windings of that little spring kind of act as part of the length of the antenna. But also that little coily part, I guess some people describe that. I don't know if this is really true or not, but that it has a little bit of inductance in there, and it kind of is a decoupling type effect, so that you got the bottom half and the top half, depending on which band you're on or something. Anyway, there's a lot of things about antenna theory that neither here nor there, but so assuming that that's the antenna and it has no ground plane and it has and it's just a vertical, then you can improve it by putting any kind of ground plane on it. Will be an improvement. You can just take a wire and hook on a coat hanger and clip on the magnet and let it dangle down, and that odd shaped coat hanger would be an improvement to what you've got. Some kind of counterpoise, some kind of ground plane. But cookie sheet works pretty good, but ideally. And I think this is what David was getting to. And if I'm wrong, David, please correct me if this is not what you were thinking. But a quarter wave 2-meter antenna should have radials that are down at about a quarter wavelength long, just like your vertical is a quarter wavelength tall, and you have they should be drooping downward at about a 45-degree angle. There are, some antennas like a 5/8 wave or something that might want them straight out, and there's different configurations. True dipole has one vertical and one. I mean, they're both vertical, but one's down, one up. With a feed point in the middle. And that would be vertically polarized. There's lots of different designs, lots of different ways that you can do this, but and you can experiment with different sizes and different types and different lengths and maybe find something that's the best. But I think what David is describing is a quarter wavelength long radial is probably better than just an arbitrary pizza pan. But I can tell you that an arbitrary pizza pan is better than nothing. So, I don't know. Let's go to David, KG5 Uniform Bravo Bravo. Would you agree with what I just described, or do you have a suggestion on top of that?
G5 UBB. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was describing. But instead of just having one radial, you could possibly have a 1/4 wavelength radial for each frequency that you intend to transmit on, just for a better transmit-receive efficiency. One of the people I know on YouTube that has done this, at least, is a guy by the name of DX Commander. I believe he's based out of England, and he made a HF vertical that has 4 elements for I think 40, 80, and 20 meters, and then you have the same 1/4 wavelength counterpoises for each one, and it automatically tunes up roughly to each frequency to almost eliminate the need for an antenna tuner. So I've heard it works also for VHF and UHF, so I thought I would give it a spin your way to hopefully help you out. Kilo Golf 5 Uniform Bravo Bravo, back to net.
KI5DQ.
David, thank you very much. KFIDQ, go ahead, please.
Oh, good afternoon, James. KI5DQ, number 4 on NetLogger, number 4. Anyway, been listening for a while. Real good conversations today. But I do remember years ago, several in fact, when I was a teenager, I borrowed a cookie sheet semi-permanently from the kitchen
from mag mount work quite well. Very simple and effective. That's my 2 cents worth. It says very low tech, good to go. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that. I'm going to go out on a limb here and see if N0IIL, Bob, are you listening, and would you like to participate for just a moment? Well, I'll tell you what I was going to do is try to ask Bob. Apparently he mentioned on the DMR thing, I heard his call, but when we did everybody shouting out their call signs too quick for me to write down. But he uses a mag mount antenna, and I believe it's the little Hershey's case type antenna, and he sticks it on top of a file cabinet. And this file cabinet, I'm guessing it's about 12 or 14 inches by 12 or 14 inches or 16 inches, something like that. I've not seen it, but he's talked about it in the past. And that seems to work remarkably well for him. I have done the same thing on a file cabinet, and I have done the same thing on a wooden cabinet. And if I put my wife Lori has this little thing you keep on the middle of the table here that she sets the salt and pepper and stuff on this little round, fancy looking pretty tray. And it has like a little lip, about a ½ inch or 3/4 inch lip around the edges of it. And I have experimented with that with mag mount antenna, sticking it on there and also turning that upside down so it's kind of raised. By the way, that one works a little bit better. And when she's not looking, I put it up here on this other China cabinet, and put it up upside down so that I don't take a chance on marring the finish that has her little decorative design. Because every once in a while she sees it, wonders what am I doing to her thing. You may hear her in the background right now making comments about this. But anyway, she moved it now, so it's out of my reach. but plus I have an outdoor antenna right now. But anyway, all I can say to everyone is try lots of different things. Have a lot of fun with reset for a moment. There are some really interesting designs of antennas, like a slot antenna, for example, where you take something like a big pizza pan or cookie sheet, and you actually just cut a slot in down the middle of it, not all the way to the edges, and you can make an antenna out of that. You can use an old satellite dish type deal and make a slot antenna out of that. There's a thing where you can, I don't remember the name of it, but you can take 2 pizza pans and nail them on the wall or screw them to a piece of plywood or something, and you put them where they're almost touching each other, and you take your coax, you feed one to the upper one and one to the lower one, and these are just flat so that the whole antenna is now 18 inches or so across and only an inch thick. And it makes a pretty nice antenna. Of course, it would be like a dipole, but they're round loops, they're round circles, not poles necessarily. So anyway, there's lots of different things that you can experiment and have fun with and make antennas almost about anything. And my only advice is don't let somebody look at what you're doing and tell you, oh, that won't work. You go ahead and try it anyway, and you can find things. It's just amazing. Hey, I know this is a digitally speaking net, and we talk about all things digital, but let me digress for just a moment here while we're on the subject. Would anyone like to come on the radio right now and describe to us
what's the most unusual or bizarre antenna that you have ever made or used? Anyone want to share an experience? Come out to your call sign, please.
Hamnet.
Kilo Golf 5, Quebec Yankee Charlie. This is Dan. I heard of this one guy on a podcast, and he was a ham radio guy, and he was a businessman, and he would take his radio and his tuner with him, and he would connect it up to all kinds of crazy things, such as fence next to the hotel or railroad tracks, or anything that he could connect a wire to that was, conduct. He tried it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. This is KG5 QYC out.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can. I'll talk to Scott, KG5RJR, see if he has no objection. Maybe we'll link some links on digitallyspeakingnet.net to some photos that Scott made an antenna out of a pair of light bulbs. Some people look at that and say, "Oh, that's a dummy load. That can't possibly work." But out of this little thing that's only a foot, total size of it would fit in a 1 foot cube. And he has made contacts to the West Coast and the East Coast on that. And you would, it's light bulbs. And they light up, by the way, when you're transmitting. That's something that a lot of people said that could not possibly work. When he built it, he thought maybe you might only go a few blocks or, a few miles or hit somebody locally. And he was just really surprised that he actually has made contacts on both coasts. So there's something for you. And I've seen it myself in person. So I believe that it is true and does work. There's Christmas lights. You can make antennas out of Christmas lights, and you can watch them light up, as a matter of fact. And if you string them out right and you get the right amount of transmit power on the right frequencies, you can actually visualize. This is one that I'd like to do, because we still have Christmas lights up in the front of our house. We use them for not holiday lighting, but we have a little remote control button, and anytime we go outside and we want to get to the cars or go down the driveway or whatever, we turn these things on. So they're out there all year long. Let's try that again. Hope my finger's on the button. Anyway, I thought it would be really cool to have a Christmas light antenna, stretch it across the front of the house. And when I transmit, now of course it probably can't see it if I'm in here, but you can actually watch the waveform. When you look at a dipole, wire antenna, and you watch you see little diagrams, and you see the antenna theory, or maybe you find it on YouTube or something about how, or the diagrams and all the antenna manuals and stuff about how waveforms look going down an antenna, and they kind of have this figure 8 kind of a pattern, and you have more current in the middle than you do on the end, and all those things that you want to talk about how antennas work. When you have a string of light bulbs, and you can actually see the light bulbs in the middle of each leg, they're not in the center where you're connected, and not so much at the end, but you can watch them get brighter in the middle. And you know that you've got higher voltages or higher currents or something in this part of the wave than the other parts and whatnot. You can see it display while you're transmitting. I think that would be a fascinating thing to do. And I'd planned to build that, I just never did. But I have seen demonstrations of it. But there are lots of strange or bizarre things that yes, they do work. And, like I said, feel free to experiment.
That's 5 p.m.
WZ5TM. Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, Lee, I've probably got one of Stranger antennas. My antenna is the rain gutter on the side of our apartment building here. It goes from my HF radio outside to a antenna tuner, which hooks up to the gutter. And then we've got a couple of ground lines that run north and west, right up along the building complex, so nobody can see them. It works reasonably well, works very well for data, and it works okay for voice, but not great for voice. But it's RL, WZ5TM, back to that.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much for sharing that. Would you like to mention some of the contacts or where some of the contacts are that you have made on that antenna?
The other day I made Belgium and Spain and FT8. I've worked Germany on PT3031, and I tried real hard to work Japan, but never seemed to be able to get them to come back to me. But I've worked Mexico, Guatemala, Brazil, Argentina, Chile. Just off the top of my head, several of the Canadian provinces and Cuba. WZ5TM, back to that.
Yeah, DQ. Yeah, hang on just a second. Tim, I got to say, that's fantastic, and thank you very much for sharing that. It's being able to work North America, South America, and Europe on a rain gutter in an apartment where you're not allowed to put up any antennas or anything like that. This is just absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. The DQ station, go ahead, please.
Oh yes, the golden earlier years. He jogged my memory. Back to my young 20s, in an apartment building myself, second floor, same problem, no antennas. So I did something very similar. At nighttime, I roll out my little inverted V antenna, sit in a couple nearby trees, worked some QSOs wherever I could, and then rolled it back up. It worked pretty good. I got caught once by the maintenance man, but well, no biggie, no showstopper.
Hamnet.
You know, in the late 80s and up to about 91 or so, before we actually moved to Texas, I used to travel quite a bit on my job, and one of the places that go a lot was here to Dallas, and specifically in Irving. And I used to try to stay at the Mandalay Bay, I guess is what it was called in Irving. It was a tall building, I don't remember, 20 stories or something. But
and I would try to always get a room as high up in the building as I could, 10, 11, 12 floors or something. And I traveled with and we're talking like 1980s technology here, but with a TNC and with a Radio Shack HT202 for radio, something that would actually fit in my briefcase, and a little piece of twin lead 75 ohm twin lead antenna cable that I would tape with a piece of Scotch tape or whatever I could find, sometimes a Band-Aid, and tape it to the window of the hotel. And I made all kinds of contacts on that little puppy. That's how I met some of the radio guys here in Texas, in the MetroCrest Amateur Radio Society. And I started going to club meetings even before I lived in Texas. And when we moved here, the very first day that we were unpacking stuff and the moving trucks left boxes of furniture, boxes, stacked floor to ceiling, the truck moved away, and first thing we dug out was a clock, and we realized what time it was. And I jokingly said to my wife Lori that, hey, the radio club starts. This is Thursday, the second Thursday of the month. I'll bet they have a radio club meeting tonight. It starts in about 30 minutes. And she says, oh, honey. I thought she was going to come unglued, leaving her with all this stuff. And she says, oh, honey, why don't you go out to radio club and meet some new friends? I can take care of this. Anyway, it was fantastic, and I did. So there you go. That's a true story. She's sitting over here, and she can tell you, yeah, that's true. So I'm assuming you can hear her in the background saying, yeah, that's true. Anyway, yeah, we remember lots of different things. This is K5WXR. You're listening to Digitally Speaking, even though we're not really talking too much about digital, but it is all things radio, so it's all good.
KFIDQ again.
Sure, go right ahead, please.
There. Yeah, I noticed I'm on lines 4 and 7, looks like. Anyway, once again, it just shows we can set up a very portable station nearly anywhere in the not so good locations, in a hotel room, apartment building with strict HOAs, even HOA type facilities. There's more of those nowadays. And still get on the air. And I've done several events over the past few years, like Radio in the Park, out on the island, even the desert. And it just shows that we can do it. KFIDQ.
Well, thank you very much for that. Let me take a moment here. Again, my name is Lee. I am K5WXR. I need to apologize to all the official observers out there. I know that I'm required to say that every 10 minutes, but I do know also that we all get distracted here and there. And it's not intentional on my part to not ID as often as I should, but one day I'm going to build a little automatic IDer here to remind me when it's time, but neither here nor there. Let me, I'll bet that there's a few people out there that have been listening to this for the last couple hours even that have not had a chance to say hello. I know that I skipped over some folks as we were checking in, and let me give a little opportunity here for anyone who has not said anything, or even if you have said something but you've got something else you'd like to say. I'm going to leave a few seconds of airtime here and wait. I know I get impatient and I start talking again right away and don't give you all a chance to speak. After all, this is your net, so I need to give you more time, and that's what I'm going to do right now, especially while I'm thinking about it, to come with your call sign, and feel free to say whatever you want or ask whatever question you want, or just let us know that you are out there listening, and that, if you would like to check in, please come now with your call sign.
Whiskey 5, Golf, Juliet Tango.
Gene, please, go right ahead.
Yeah, this is Whiskey 5, Golf, Juliet Tango. I would like to get some more information about Tim's brain cutter antenna. Tim, can you share the design? Back to the net. This is W5GJT.
Okay, Tim, or if you're, I'm assuming you're still listening, would you like to describe your antenna in further detail? Go ahead, please.
Okay. It's a big brown ring gutter. It comes from the third floor down to the first floor. Up on the third floor, it goes over about 20 feet to the south. The only thing hooked up to it is a line off of the external antenna tuner, which sits out on my balcony here. It gets its power through another line we've got running out there through the. We took a 1.5 inch piece of wood and put it in the where the door track is, and made a little thing where we could run as much wire as we wanted through there. So that's all there is. I can't tell you the name of the antenna tuner because it's not mine. All I know is I put it on CW and push the talk button, and it tunes it all up and push it back, go back to upper sideband and lower sideband, and find people to talk with, or find places they have digital conversations. So I hope that helps, but that's really all I know about it. I can't, with my wheelchair, I can't get out on the balcony, so I've never really seen it afloat on the grass out there because I just sort of sink in. So, if it's not for the help of people in the club here, I wouldn't have an antenna. So, just think everybody, WZ5TM, back to net.
Hamnet.
Tim, do you know if there is also a grounding system or a ground rod of some sort, or a stake in the ground, or anything that gives you an earth ground or counterpoise, or you connect it up to the other side of the coax or something to their railing, or to something else that might be grounded?
I know we're hooked up to the railing, one to each side of the railing, and then we've got a ground line. I'm not sure if it's a ground line or exactly what it is, but I got one run from the antenna tuner to the south, right up along the building, kind of tucked down in the on the ground there, and then another line that goes to the west there, and it's tucked up under the ground there. And so that's all I really know about the connections. And like I say, I've never seen it. I've never been out there to look at it. But I really appreciate the gentlemen who have helped me with it. So, WZ5TM back to net.
Again, Tim, thank you very much for sharing that. And, I'm sure that's very enlightening to all of us. And of course, I knew about it already, but I like to hear you talk about it rather than me, of course. But Gene, what do you think so far? Do you have any further questions?
This is W5TJT. Thank you very much, Tim. It was very informative. I may have to try something like that at my place. Yeah, nothing more. Back to the net. This is W5TJT.
Z5TM.
Tim, go ahead.
Gene, if you want to come over here and take a look at it, feel free. I'm here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and most Saturdays and Sundays. But I'm not here on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I gotta go to dialysis. But if you want to come on a day that I'm here, just give me a call, and I will certainly let you come over and take a look at it. WZ5TM back to net.
Tim, that's a very nice offer. Gene?
This is W5TJT. Thank you very much, Tim. I really appreciate that. Hope you feel better. Back to the net. This is W5TJT.
Hello, Charlie 5, Delta Charlie Tango, sanity check.
Anyone else have a comment? I thought of something that I was planning to share today, and I haven't done it, but I want to give everyone a chance to talk about whatever they might want to talk about, especially if you came to this net with something you really wanted to share, or something you're especially proud of, or something you did this week that you just feel like you got to tell somebody. Anyone want to come with your call sign now?
Kilo Charlie 5, Delta Charlie Tango, sanity check.
Did you say, hi first, did you say sanity check? I think you're sane. Yeah, coming through sanely. Go ahead.
No, your net, I know, it's been on for years on the 9-2 repeater, the primary Aries repeater for Denton County. And here I am hearing it on the Lark 220 repeater, so I think I'm going nuts.
Well, let me see if I can share my cracker, my nut cracker with you. No, I don't think you're nuts. I think that we have some either experimental things going on or somebody having fun and linking some things together. We may have actually a couple of frequencies linked. We heard a report earlier that somebody was hearing this on 446.225. So there could be some cross banding and like that going on as well. But in any case, yeah, we have the Lark 224 zip repeater bridged or linked with the 9-2 repeater, and possibly another one or two or three. I don't know. There was some talk one day that somebody, without telling me, was going to link up like every repeater that was Metroplex and do it as a surprise, or almost every repeater in Denton County anyway. But I don't know. If they do that, please, if you're listening out there, don't tell me you're doing it. You know, I might get nervous. Anyway, back to you, Tim. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks for recognizing me, Lee's TechNet. I want to remind everyone that the LARC contesting and public service net will be on the 220 repeater since it seems to be working. Looks like it doesn't make any difference anymore what repeater you listen to it on, but anyway, I'm going to be talking on the 220 repeater about contesting and public service events in April, of which there are a tremendous number. And to add insult to injury, I will also be presenting a net topic on WWFF. So thank you for letting me make that announcement. That's pretty much what I'm going to be doing in ham radio this week. KC5DCT, back to TechNet.
Tim, before you go, may I ask you, are you transmitting right now on 9.2, or are you transmitting on the 224?
Well, that last announcement I transmitted on the 9.2, but now I've switched back over to the 224, and just to confuse you more, Lee, I plan to switch around to a whole lot of different repeaters in the next 5 minutes. KC5DCT, back to net.
Thank you very much. Just so that you'll know, you sounded better on the 9.2. The 224, we understood every word you said, but it was a little I don't know, a little waverly, I guess. Not quite clipping, not quite whatever, but a little bit of distortion. Not that it matters. But so your net tonight, by the way, before you go, your net is that at 8 o'clock tonight, or can you confirm the time again, please?
Roger. That will be 2000 local on this wavy, distorted repeater. If it gets too bad, though, at least I know I can switch someplace else and it'll sound better. KC5DCT, back to net.
Well, thank you. So if these are still linked up at 8 p.m. tonight, you might have a much wider audience than you thought. So we'll see how that goes. Let me ask, is there anyone else that would like to share a comment or an announcement or anything like that before I tell you what I did this week with Arden?
Hamnet.
After all, we are on Digitally Speaking Net, and we talk about all things digital and whatnot. So I'm going to try to steer a little bit of the conversation back towards one of our primary digital modes, which is Arden, AREDN. I know that when I send out a text and I'm doing text to speech, it spells it differently, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. It is Amateur Radio Emergency Data Network, and AREDN. And anybody, if you're not familiar with Arden by now, feel free to go to arden.org. There's lots of information about it, whatnot. Or you can ask questions here. We'll be happy to talk about it more. But this quick summary is that it works on an amateur radio band, a 13-centimeter band, at about 2.397 gigahertz, and it uses TCP/IP type protocols and stuff similar to the internet. And one of the things that we've been experimenting around, we've got cameras on top of water towers, and we've got VoIP telephones working now on some of this stuff, and we've got these chat services, and there's mesh chat that comes built into Arden, so that everyone with an Arden node can communicate with it. But anyway, there's lots of different things it's capable of doing across this network. But one of the things, I'm not sure if it's been done yet or not, but if it has been, I don't know anybody else who's done it, but I thought I'd give it a try, and my little experiment proved successful. One is not so fancy in that it's. I think that people have done this or proved that it works before, but 100% digital. 100% solar operation, meaning there's no batteries, no connection to outside power. With one 15-watt solar panel, I powered the little Wi-Fi access point as well as the Arden node itself, and was able to fully function Arden. I did that mobily in my little pickup truck, and furthermore, connected up the. I have an Arden. I have a telephone, a voice over IP that I can use over Arden, and also video that I was experimenting recently with video. Well, it turns out that while the truck is in motion, traveling, of course, I didn't go real fast. I didn't go real far. I went like around the block a couple of times. But and also, how the safety reasons. I know you're not supposed to text and drive, but I'm not sure if you can video chat and drive legally. But so I didn't go very far, like I said, and I didn't go very fast. I tried to be safe, but I was successful in being able to actually carry on a two-way video, voice and audio, in a moving vehicle over Arden, 100% solar powered without a battery. So there you go. That's my accomplishment for the week. What did you do this week? No, I know I'm getting kind of ridiculous here. I'm getting kind of dingy. I've been talking for like 2 hours on this net and starting to get a little bit loony, I suppose. But so before I chase away all the listeners, let me give you guys a chance to make whatever kind of comment you want. Feel free. Anyone have a comment they'd like to share? Come with your call sign, please. KG5UBB, David, go ahead. What a fantastic idea. Thank you, David, for bringing that, and thank the guy wherever he is. I'm going to send him a YouTube or an email or something, but that's fantastic. Right here at my house, I have we're underground fed with a fiber. We have FiOS, and there's a buried fiber that comes to the house, and our phone and internet and television and whatnot is all on that. But the drop wire from a power pole in the back corner of our house, back corner of our property, there is still a telephone lead and a cable TV lead that are both cut at the house, but the wire is still up there. The attachments are still there. They're not connected to anything on the house. I wonder if I can see it well enough, if it's not connected on the other end, like if they pulled the wire out of the terminal, the telephone company pulled the wire out of the terminal, that drop wire, there's twin leads, they're side by side, pretty close together, but they're copper coated steel wire, and it's probably 40 feet long. That's probably a decent antenna. Thank you for the idea. I'm going to be real cautious about connecting up to it if it's still connected to a telephone wire. I mean, there's no service on it, but still, I wouldn't want to be injecting a bunch of HF into the cable that runs down the street and, you know, what it might do to the switching equipment and all the other people that are still using, you know, this other services within that cable. You know, of course, if it's connected all the way back to the central office. In some parts of the country, the telephone company would call that a home run. They leave the wire connected from the frame in the central office, you know, running down all these cables down the street that might have 2,000 pairs in them, and it gets smaller and smaller cables and stuff as it gets fed out to the, you got feeders and distribution and all these different things in the phone network. But they, once upon a time, left those things connected all the way up to houses. So if somebody new moves into that house, they just make it hot in the switch room, and they don't have to go out there and connect up all the wires from the poles and the drops and whatnot. So I would be real reluctant to try to jump on there and transmit something. But if I could confirm or verify that it's not connected through the rest of that network, I think that would make a pretty good attachment point. It'd be sort of like a sloper antenna that is connected to a cell phone pole at about 20 feet off the ground and connected to the house at about 8 feet off the ground. That would probably make a decent sloper antenna. It's probably 40 or 50 feet now that I think about it, because it's diagonal. Thank you, David. What a good idea. Has anyone else thought of that, or somebody else given that a try?
Hamnet.
Yeah, and not to mention the legalities. Any sort of attachment like that is illegal. Let me make that clear for anyone who may be listening. I want to put a disclaimer out there that digitally speaking net, and me, digitally or Lee, K5WXR, is absolutely strongly advocating do not do this. So I don't even want to say do so at your own risk, because that could be misunderstood. I am actually saying do not, please do not do this, and please don't get it known that you heard it here on MyNet and responsible for something that you might do that is absolutely something wrong. But the fact that you could have a piece of copper-clad drop wire, and it might be, you know, a decent length, and use it as a random wire antenna, I like that concept. But absolutely do not do this if it's connected at the pole to the cables that, you know, that are owned and operated by the cable TV or telephone company or anyone else. So, and David, you're right. Typical telephone service has 48 volts on it, and which could vary between about 46 and 54 or so, depending on a lot of the different things. But 48 is nominal. Yeah, and once upon a time in, I think it was the Irving Amateur Radio Club, probably 20 or 30 years ago, used to have an old bed spring that was located on the roof of a meeting facility, and they used to use that for an antenna that worked pretty good, all band almost. It was
all the different springs, all the different things. I mean, they're all different sizes. You talk about a multi-band antenna, but there's a lot of things that will work. But encourage experimentation, but I do not encourage experimentation on live telephone wires. If you could somehow absolutely ensure that wire is pulled out of the terminal on a pole-mounted terminal, where you can see it dangling, you know that it's there, or if you are sure that it's dead and you reached up there with a tree pruner or something and cut it free and made sure that, by the way, don't do that either. You're not allowed to go cutting telephone wires with a tree pruner. But if you could absolutely make sure that it's not connected to anything, then that's another story. But, oh well. Thank you, David. Anybody else like to make a comment about this or anything else that you've heard today or something new you'd like to bring up?
Did you say Kilo Golf 5, Oscar, Quebec, Kilo? Go ahead.
Roger, thank you very much. I've been listening now for about an hour. The only story I have is from the military. You get crazy and have to make an antenna out of nothing to take a couple of plastics phone line and measure it out the proper length, hang it between the trees and try to talk to the tank. But yeah, I can't have to go cutting in telephone lines either. Trying to do.
Are you by chance using an antenna like that now? If so, I want to say congratulations, but I also want to say that you're a little bit noisy and didn't catch everything that you said. I think we got the gist of it though, but if you wouldn't mind, could you repeat it one more time, please?
One more time, seeing if I can get out. I'm all the way down here in Garland, and I'm kind of amazed I picked you guys up on my 1 1/4 anyway. In the Army, we would take a couple of plastic spoons for the end and measure out the wire to whatever length we needed for the VHF frequency we were working on, and hang it in the trees if we needed to.
Okay, I think this is David in Garland, KG5, Oscar, Quebec, Kilo, and it sounds like you're talking about measuring out some wire and hanging it in the trees. That's what I got out of what you said. Is there more to it that I might have missed?
Pretty much about just had to make do with what we had in the Army, so we could use field wire. We needed an antenna for something. It worked pretty well with the old PRC-77.
Well, thank you very much. We're up here in Denton County, and you're in Garland, and the fact that you're, making it into this net in the first place, I've got to say congratulations on that. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you're there. Wow, and thank you very much for the idea. Thanks for the comments. Okay, this is Lee, K5WXR. This is a digitally speaking net. Let me ask if there's anyone else who would like to make a comment or perhaps an announcement of some sort, something going on in your personal life. Did you just get married, or just have a kid or grandkids, or
any kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe you're celebrating getting divorced. I don't care. Anything that you want to share with your friends on the radio? Or is there something coming up at an event, for example, that you want to make sure that everybody else knows about, like Texas State Parks on the air, or perhaps the Medal of Honor ride, perhaps, I don't know. There's got to be a lot of things coming up. I don't have a calendar in front of me, and I'm not real good at remembering all the dates for everything, but if you happen to know something you'd like to share with the group, feel free to come now with your call sign and share whatever you'd like to share.
Kilo Golf 5, Victor Whiskey Juliet.
Kilo Golf 5, Victor Whiskey Juliet. Go ahead, please.
Hey, Lee, it's Mark. I just wanted to say hi. I was been lurking all afternoon, all over trying to get my ham radio in a box idea a little further along and doing some more stuff with it. And listen to a lot of the antenna stuff while I'm walking through different stores on the Android app, and done a lot of weird antenna stuff over my life with HF on the aircraft and other stuff. But anyway, I just wanted to say hello and everybody, and what a great net, and appreciate it. And it's KG5 Victor Whiskey Juliet, back to net.
Hamnet, Hamnet.
Oh, thank you, Mark. I'm glad to know that you're out there today, lurking. Welcome to the net. Glad that you've been here all along. I appreciate it. Let me see. Is there anyone else that would like to share something? I know we've been going for a couple of hours. It's probably time to wind this down. But anyone at all want to come with your call sign and share whatever comment you'd like to make? Oh my, I just looked at the clock. It's 4:52. 16:52. That means in 8 minutes we will have gone 3 hours for our 1 hour net. So I'm not certain that that's a new record or anything, but I thought I might share that and give everybody a chance to go, unwind and relax and maybe do something else, and certainly give me a chance to go get a beverage or a bite to eat, a snack or something. I don't remember eating yet today. My main squeeze over here, my darling honey of 44 years, brought me a glass of orange juice and a cup of coffee. I haven't had anything, but I think I'm about ready to call it a day. Go into receiving mode for a while. Wait for Tim tonight at 8 p.m. and there's the LDS night also at 9. I like to say hi to those guys. Not a member of their church, but I do like to say hello to them anyway. They're really nice guys. Let me think if there's something else going on today. Anybody want to jog a memory of something you need to do today, or if you'd like the other folks on the net to know about? Come now to your call sign. Last chance. Okie dokes. Well, thank you, everyone. It's always a pleasure speaking with all of you and knowing that there's an audience out there listening to me. And yeah, I'm a narcissist. I admit it. But actually, all of you listening to all of you, and all of you listening to each other and speaking to each other is what makes this net possible, and what hopefully makes it fun and entertaining for everyone. I think we all enjoy learning new things, getting new ideas, and the fellowship or the companionship, I guess. We can look forward to each other's company every Sunday afternoon in a friendly environment where you can share ideas and not have to worry about somebody thinking you're I don't know. I was going to say a geek or something, or off in left field because of your hobby. But we're all in this together, so you're among friends. Again, my name is Lee. I'm in Highland Village, Texas. This is the 146.92 and others, the W5NGU repeater and others. And we have, what else do I need to say as I'm signing off? I guess that's about it. It's 4:55 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to set the repeater back to normal mode, so you can stand by for about 30 seconds. And thank you all for coming and participating, and see you again next week.
This repeater is returned to normal operation.
Incidentally, just for clarification, I have reset the net mode portion of the repeater. I mean, back to normal operations. I did not do anything with the linking to establish it or take it down, so we may still be linked. I don't know, but whoever linked them, it'll be up to you to unlink them. So, thank you. This is K5WXR Clear.
Real good job there, Lee. James from Sherman Cap, IDQ.
Thank you very much for the comment. K5WXR.
Thank you very much, Lee, for the great net. I look forward to your one next week. This is W5GJT. Over.
Thank you, Gene. See you again next week. K5WXR.